If you are watching this before July ends, listen closely, because what you are feeling right now is not a coincidence. Something has been shifting quietly underneath the surface of your life, and you have felt it, haven't you? A strange restlessness, a sense that something is about to move. Maybe you couldn't explain it. Maybe you brushed it off as tiredness or stress, but deep down, some part of you has known that these final days of July are not ordinary days. They are a threshold, and by the time you finish watching this, you are going to understand why everything that felt delayed, everything that felt frustrating, every closed door and every silence you didn't understand was never a sign that you were falling behind. It was preparation. And what is coming next may be closer than you think. Think back for a moment to how this month actually began. Maybe July started with a certain heaviness. Maybe you were carrying disappointments from June that hadn't fully healed yet. Plans that didn't unfold the way you imagined. People who didn't show up the way you needed them to. Or a version of yourself that felt tired of waiting for things to finally click into place. And somewhere in the middle of all that heaviness, without fully realizing it, you kept going anyway. You showed up on the days you didn't feel like showing up. You made one more attempt after the attempt that failed. You sent one more message, applied one more time, tried the conversation you'd been avoiding, or simply refused to give up on yourself, even when nothing around you seemed to be responding. That refusal to quit is the part of this story most people never talk about, because it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. It looks like an ordinary Tuesday, but it is exactly the kind of quiet decision that changes the entire direction of a life. Because here is something important to understand about transformation, something that so many people misunderstand completely. Real change rarely arrives the way we imagine it will. We picture a single spectacular moment, a lightning bolt, a sign so obvious that no one could miss it. But that is not how it usually works. More often, transformation arrives in fragments. A small win here, an unexpected message there. A conversation you almost didn't have that ends up opening a door you didn't even know existed. A decision you made weeks or months ago that suddenly, quietly, starts to bear fruit. None of these moments look like the moment while they're happening. It's only later, when you look back, that you realize they were all connected, all part of the same unfolding story, all leading somewhere. And that is exactly what is happening right now, in these final days of July, for more people than you might imagine. Small alignments are beginning to click into place. A door that has been stuck for weeks is starting to loosen. Something you thought had gone completely silent may be preparing to respond. This does not mean the change has already fully arrived. It means the conditions for it are finally forming. And if you have been paying attention to yourself lately, if you have felt a subtle shift in your energy, a flicker of hope you didn't expect, or a strange calm replacing the anxiety that used to consume you, that is not your imagination. That is your intuition picking up on something before your circumstances have caught up to confirm it. There is also something happening above us that mirrors this internal shift. Late July carries the energy of the sun moving through Leo, a sign associated with courage, identity, and the willingness to be seen. It is a time when the sky seems to be asking a very direct question. Are you ready to stop shrinking and start stepping into who you actually are? Around this same stretch of the month, a new moon often rises in Leo as well. And a new moon is never just a date on a calendar. It is a symbolic reset, a quiet invitation to plant a seed in darkness and trust that it will grow before you can see any proof of it. If you have felt an unusual pull toward starting something new right now, toward finally saying yes to an idea you've been sitting on, that pull is not random. It is aligned with something much bigger than your daily to-do list. It is aligned with a cycle that is asking you to begin again, even if the ending of the old cycle didn't look the way you expected. But listen carefully, because this is where the story gets more complicated and more important. Not every opportunity that appears during a powerful window like this one is actually good for you. Some doors open not because they are meant to be walked through, but because they are meant to test you. An opportunity built on integrity will usually come with responsibility attached. It might ask you to be patient. It might ask you to work harder before you see the reward. It might ask you to sacrifice comfort, a familiar routine, or the easy path in exchange for something real and lasting. A temptation, on the other hand, tends to whisper a very different message. It promises speed. It promises approval. It promises quick money, quick validation, quick relief from discomfort, without asking anything difficult of you in return. And this is exactly why, in these final days of July, you have to slow down enough to ask yourself 2 questions before you say yes to anything. Is this taking you closer to the life you want? Not the life that looks good to other people. Not the life that gives you a quick dopamine hit today. The life you actually want, deep down, when no one is watching and there's no one left to impress. And the second question, just as important. Will this decision still matter a month from now? Because so many choices that feel urgent in the moment fade into nothing within weeks, while a handful of quiet, unremarkable decisions end up shaping the next several years of your life. If you can sit with those 2 questions honestly, you will already know, more often than not, whether what's in front of you is an opportunity worth walking toward, or a distraction dressed up to look like one. Now, I want to talk about something that tends to happen right around this point in the month. Something that trips people up more than almost anything else. Just when things start to feel like they're finally moving, a final obstacle shows up. A delay you didn't see coming. A disappointing answer after weeks of hoping. A plan that falls through at the worst possible moment. And if this happens to you in these last days of July, I need you to hear this clearly. It does not mean you failed. It does not mean the momentum you've been building was fake. Very often this last obstacle is not the end of the story. It's the final test before the turn. It's life asking quietly one more time, do you actually mean it? Are you going to keep going even now, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one would blame you for giving up? This is where patience becomes more than a nice idea. It becomes a discipline you practice on purpose. This is where persistence stops being a personality trait some people are lucky to have, and becomes a choice you make deliberately, day after day, especially on the days it feels pointless. Because here is something almost no one tells you about the people who eventually break through to the life they've been working toward. Right before their biggest turning point, most of them go through a stretch that looks from the outside exactly like failure. The difference between the ones who make it and the ones who don't isn't talent, and it isn't luck. It's whether they kept showing up during the part of the story that didn't look like progress yet. Before we continue, I want to share something a bit different, a reflection sent in by someone watching this journey unfold in their own life, because I think it captures exactly what we're talking about. They wrote that for years, they made every decision based on what would make other people comfortable, what would earn approval, what would avoid conflict, even when it meant quietly abandoning what they actually wanted. And they said that the real shift didn't come from one big dramatic moment. It came from a series of small, uncomfortable choices to finally value their own peace as much as they valued everyone else's opinion of them. That is what conscious choice looks like. Not perfection, not certainty, just a growing willingness to choose yourself, even when it's unfamiliar, even when it's a little frightening. If any part of that resonates with you right now, sit with it for a second, because self-worth rarely announces itself loudly. It usually shows up disguised as a small, quiet decision to stop settling. As July moves toward its final hours, something worth noticing is how differently people will treat the arrival of August. Most people will wait for the calendar to change before they change anything about themselves. They'll tell themselves that August is when the real effort begins, that the past month doesn't count, that they can finally start fresh once the date flips over. But you don't have to be one of those people, because the truth is, August does not begin from zero. It never has. August begins carrying everything you built in the days right before it. Every ounce of discipline you practiced when it was hard. Every decision you made to keep going instead of giving up. Every lesson you were forced to learn the difficult way. None of that disappears the moment the calendar changes. It becomes the foundation that the new month stands on. So if you have been doing the work quietly, showing up even when it felt unnoticed, choosing patience over panic, choosing your long-term peace over short-term comfort, you are not starting August behind. You are starting it already in motion, already carrying momentum that other people won't have, because they spent July waiting instead of building. While they are still deciding whether to begin, you will already be moving forward. And that difference, small as it may seem right now, tends to compound into something enormous by the time you look back months from now. There is a strange kind of magic in this timing, in the way one month quietly hands its weight to the next. Somewhere ahead of you, there is a version of your life where you look back on this exact period, the last days of July bleeding into the first days of August, and you finally understand what was really happening. You'll probably think at first that August was the month everything changed. The month the door finally opened. The month the answer finally came. The month things finally made sense. But if you're honest with yourself, if you really trace the story back to where it started, you'll realize the truth is quieter than that. The real turning point wasn't August at all. It was every decision you made in the days before it. The ones nobody applauded, the ones that felt too small to matter, the ones you almost didn't make. Those were the moments that changed everything. August simply revealed what July had already decided. So as these final days pass, whatever obstacle you're facing right now, whatever silence you're sitting in, whatever doubt is whispering that you're running out of time, I want you to remember this. You are not behind. You are being prepared. And the door that feels closed today may simply be waiting for you to stop knocking so hard and start trusting that it's already beginning to open. Stay patient with yourself. Stay honest about what you truly want. And keep walking even now, especially now, because the version of your life you've been hoping for is closer than it has ever been. Thank you so much for being here and for staying until the very end. Whatever August brings you, I hope it meets you already in motion, already stronger, already closer to the life you've been quietly building toward this whole time. If this spoke to you, stay close, because the next video continues exactly where this one leaves off, and you won't want to miss what's coming.